Delegation allows you to actually get the leverage out of having employees.
Most times when we think about delegating, we're thinking it from a task delegation level, right? Hey, I need you to update this document.
Change the oil in a truck.
Change the oil in a truck, right? John Matzner, he says that task-based delegation is the lowest form of delegation.
You're still doing it. You're just doing it through basically a tool of an employee.
And it always leads to overworked and busy bosses, but also underused junior leaders.
The employees generally want autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Responsibility-based delegation scratches all three of those itches.
How do we decide what we actually need to delegate in the first place?
The key to delegation is
expert advice, practical tips, real-life stories. Have less stress, more time, and more money in your business. Welcome to the Cashflow Contractor.
Martin, I think we've done probably 4, I know at least 3 episodes specifically on delegation in some, from some perspective. And we talk about it all the time, but I know that it comes up a lot with your coaching clients, comes up a lot for me and maybe a little bit of a different perspective, but I want to hear what is going on currently with some of your clients where delegation is really at the forefront.
Well, delegation is really the key to everything. Delegation allows you to actually get the leverage out of having employees that you can trust them to do things without, at a minimum, you're having to check it all the time. At a less than minimum, maybe you're still participating and approving decisions. So we need to leverage. It provides leverage. And so in that regard, almost every client I have, we're in the process of trying to delegate. And some people are well along. They have the people, the right kind of people, which we'll talk about, who have the attribute, they're engaged, they want to do it, they're challenged by it. And others don't have the people. So literally with 2 of my clients right now, we are in a quest for the people we can delegate to. And in one of their cases, that person does not work for them now. In another of those instances, the person that we think will do it does work for them. So it's a perpetual. Everything I work with on clients is about something we have to do to advance the company. And appended to that statement is who's going to do it, right? And so in a general context, delegation is a key component of everything I do every day with every client.
Right.
Maybe.
I think so. I'll give some context, and we're going to be doing some episodes on this here soon. But I've been helping some contractors find executive assistants, and I really don't like the term executive assistant or that title for this role because when I think executive assistant, I think of like a CEO that has an executive assistant who manages his email and his calendar, books his flights and his travel, makes sure that he has his notes for his meetings, and answers questions for people. Yeah, a gatekeeper, right? And really, like, this is more of an owner-operator assistant. As an SMB owner who's also operating the business, you have a lot going on. You're thinking about marketing and accounting and sales and just a general administrative work. And there's a variety of things that you need to be doing that doesn't really feel like the term executive assistant or gatekeeper really feels adequate enough, right? So we're helping people find this person. And for really in every instance that we've done this, there hasn't been someone already in this position. It's basically creating a new position for the owner so that they can buy back their time.
Right.
And they've got to delegate to buy back their time, right? And I think this episode really fits well into that discussion because most times when we think about delegating, we're thinking of it from a task delegation level, right? So whenever we're delegating tasks, we say, hey, I need you to do this. Here's an SOP. If we're really good, here's an SOP of how to do it. Please do it.
No,
right?
That's not part of it.
But
I just need you to do it.
Yeah, but usually there's not really an SOP. It's like, hey, maybe I record a video or I like write out the instructions, or I just say I need you to do this and I assume they know how to do it, right? And those tasks could be, hey, I need you to, deposit this check. hey, I need you to update this document with the right things. Hey, I need you to send the proposal to the client.
Change the oil in a truck.
Change the oil in a truck, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And, really the influence and inspiration for this episode was from a tweet from John Matzner. We've had him on the show before, but really great guy. And he says that task-based delegation is the lowest form of delegation, the most elementary form of delegation. And it always leads to overworked and busy bosses, but also underused junior leaders. We've talked about lean thinking and 2-second lean from Paul Akers and all the different waste that's out there. And that talent is a huge waste where we're not really utilizing all of the talent of our employees. But with task-based delegation, you're telling someone exactly what to do. And really you're the trigger for when to do it. So unless you are the one that's constantly telling them what to do and assigning the task, you are always going to be, whenever you do that, you are the trigger. You're the person that decides when they work and when they don't. So if you're not doing that, your employee is just kind of sitting there, okay, well, I didn't get any tasks from boss, right? And they don't get the opportunity to think for themselves and to know when to work on things and to be responsible, right? Also, you feel overwhelmed because you're the one that's at the hub of the hub and spoke management and always having to be, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. And nothing ever gets done without you having a say. And so we wanted to talk for this episode about responsibility-based delegation, kind of walk through what it is, but also some examples of how to actually employ responsibility-based delegation. I'll let you talk for a second, Martin. I went off there for a little bit. What are you
No,
What are your thoughts on the task-based delegation?
Well, task-based delegation is just temporary delegation. You're still doing it. You're just doing it through basically a tool of an employee.
Yeah.
Once that job's done, it's off. There's no carry forward. There's no leverage involved. If the need comes up to change the oil in a truck next month, you have to tell them to do it again. So you have not accomplished anything towards the goal that we always talk about of building a successful business that can run without you. You still are people-based business at that point. You might have people that are really good at changing oil in trucks and people who have no idea and forget to put the plug in and burn up that engine, right?
Right.
Well, if you can create a SOP, a process, delegate that process, delegate the responsibility, then you have taken a step toward offloading your duties and towards that business that can run without you.
Well, and I want to let's stop there for a second. So a lot of times, I mean, how often realistically are your clients really handing over an SOP and saying, here's how I want you to run this and take responsibility of it? It's not really happening that often because they're overburdened, overworked. They don't have the time to really think about that at a high level. And maybe they do in certain cases, but I would say the majority of the time, they don't have the SOP already. They've got to go build that before they can then go delegate it. But what if?
Well, okay. Probably where you're going.
What if?
Go ahead.
Hey, John, I need you to take responsibility of this area. I'm going to let this off my plate and now it is yours. And you're going to be autonomous with this. You are responsible for the success of this area. And as you are doing the tasks related to that responsibility, part of your job is to document your job and to create the SOPs that will allow you to manage that area responsibly. I think that's probably the more capable and successful way of doing it, because most owner operators aren't going to be able to, okay, let me take half the week to develop all the SOPs and the KPIs for this area and tutorial on how to do it, and then I can delegate it. And that's a good way to do it, and that can work in some instances, but it's just not the norm.
Well, you mean to delegate's not the norm, or to do it yourself is not?
No, to have everything figured out and then delegate it.
Yeah, no, yeah, that only is not the norm. That just
never happens.
Vanishingly small. It never happens. No, I have a client yesterday I spoke with. Just talk with him once a month, and he hired a guy, went through about 3 iterations of getting a VA or an EA, whatever we want to
Yeah.
call it. He had heard at a convention about 3 software packages that looked very interesting to my client's business, had heard about these. And so what he did was he got into them a little bit, kind of like I do when I'm looking at software. A little bit of an idea, don't really know how to do it, don't really want to spend all day figuring it out. So what he did was he told his new VA about these 3 software packages, told
Yeah.
him what he knew about them, and that why he thought he was optimistic and we should use them. He said, "I want you to go learn and understand these and give me a video when that I can look at that encapsulates how to operate this software and whether or not you think it'll work." And then my client went on vacation for 10 days and came back and he had the documents. And he was in the middle of, I don't know which of the 3 or if any he's going to adapt. But that is the way to do it. That's next
Yeah.
level up. When
Yeah.
I sit with most of my clients, we're trying, like we talked about workflows a few weeks ago. A workflow's just, well, a workflow can be essentially part of the system that you're delegating to somebody. Give me a workflow. Well, I don't know how to do it. Well, just think about what you have to do when you do these things and write down the bullet points, and together we'll flesh them out. But I want you doing it. Now you've got them engaged. One thing that I know we talked about early on is employees generally want autonomy, mastery, and purpose.
Mhm.
Autonomy means you're not micromanaging them. Mastery means that they want something that they're challenging, that they're learning and growing. And purpose is why are we doing this? Uh, Responsibility delegation scratches all 3 of those itches. And so one of the benefits, not only are you leveraging your time, but you're likely to have better, more innovative employees who stick around longer because they're fulfilled,
Mm.
right? They're not being micromanaged, get to work and like a little robot, do the things you told them every day. So
Yeah.
it's
Allow them to be an
it
expert,
is the
right?
way to do. Yeah. And make them become an expert.
Right.
Hey, go ahead and figure out this. Come back here and give me your recommendation, then we'll talk it over and see what we do. But this is your job. Go figure out how to do this.
Yeah. So let's kind of walk through, what that process, we've tiptoed around that a little bit, but what would be the process for getting started and really delegating entire areas of responsibility and giving them that autonomy to operate within? I think with task-based delegation, typically what you would do is you would sit down, you'd write down 15, 20, 30 things that are on your plate currently that you're currently working on. And then you would just figure out the ones that were possible to delegate as tasks, like check my email or sweep the office or whatever it is, and then delegate it. With responsibility-based delegation, very similar, but how do you choose which areas to actually delegate and which ones not to?
Well, that's kind of getting into a second question. That first part, at least I inferred you were going to say, uh, how do you delegate? And we've got a lot of steps that we can go through and talk about. But if you don't remember anything else, the key to delegation, there are several keys, but to me, the top is clarity. You
Yeah.
have to be clear about what you expect them to do, when you expect it to do them, the timeline by when you expect to have it done, how they're going to be measured, what authority they have, so that they have clarity. The We've said it before, the number one reason people leave a job is unclear expectations. And that's also the number one reason things fail, because what you thought was the timeline, you didn't communicate. What you thought was the scope and the authority, you didn't
Hmm.
communicate. And the resources, you didn't communicate. So there's a disconnect and something is likely to go off the rails. So that's, in my mind, that is the number one thing. Am I being clear
Yeah.
about I expect them to do, when I expect them to do it by, what resources they have, what authority they have
Yeah.
to get it done? So
No,
now
that
you
that's
asked the second
that's
kind of a
paramount.
second
So
question.
so with that, so we know that we need to be clear, but how do we decide what we actually need to delegate in the first place, right? And the way that I think about this is, and this comes from Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time is a great book that we've referenced in the past. But what are you great at? And what are you great at that moves the needle for your business? Meaning if that's sales, maybe that's the design aspect of your job, maybe that's the leadership aspect of your job, but what is it that you're great at and that really moves the needle for your business forward? And focus on that. What are the things that don't fall into that bucket that you really need to delegate and let off your plate? Maybe that has something to do with accounting. Maybe it has something to do with marketing. Maybe it's something with your crews and project management. But there's a variety of areas that are holding you back from doing what you're really great at and what's moving the needle forward in your business. Now, you can be great at something and it not be moving the needle for your business at all. It doesn't grow your business. It doesn't improve the quality of your business, but you're still good at it, right? That's still something that you should consider delegating because it's not making a tremendous impact in the growth and success of your company. It's just something that you enjoy, right? Or are good at. So what are those areas? That's how I would look for it. And make sure that these areas also do, hopefully they move the needle. Maybe they don't in a very clear way. But that's just how I would think about selecting those areas for delegation. For a lot of people, that can be like managing the amount of leads that we get, right? Like that's a valuable thing that moves the needle. But I spend so much time trying to qualify these leads and picking up the phone and calling and no answer. I feel like I waste a lot of time when really I need to be working on the design of these projects, closing the deals. I need someone to help me with lead intake, right? I need someone to be responsible for that. That would be an area of delegation. You had a really good, before the episode, you were talking about fleet management. And I think we've even referenced it here, but I'm tired of our trucks going out and having to take it to the shop and spending money and wasting time. Like that could be a huge one for people, right? Any other areas or any thoughts on how you would select the areas for delegation?
Well, let's talk in general terms. Warren Buffett, I just read it recently. It might have been Charlie Munger before he died, but I think it was Warren Buffett. He said, write down 25 things that you do in your business, and preferably that you like. And then look at the most important one and then quit doing the other 24. Okay. Well, that, and then another piece of advice from Brian Tracy comes up. When you're looking at things to possibly delegate it doesn't hurt to have a list of things that you do, right? I mean, literally just sitting around with a notepad or an iPad, whichever way you do it, just write down all the things that you do and you start to realize where the time sinks are, and maybe you could delegate and get those things off your plate. But in researching about what to talk about in delegation, I came across Brian Tracy. One of the points he makes is, do I even need to do this at all? Right?
Yeah.
That's not that's delegating to the trash heap.
You can
And
be
one of the things he
productive
says,
at things that don't matter at all, and you're not
well,
productive.
that's exactly it. And he says it so well. He said, there is no greater waste of time than doing something well that need not be done at all.
Yeah.
And there's usually a reason that you do that. And I've got people who, I have a client I'm thinking about right now that uses Excel spreadsheets to avoid doing what he has to do. And he knows it and I know it, and I'm getting pretty ugly with him. I mean, not really, but I'm going, come on. And there's this minutia that you have, and it has to be done. This stuff that he's doing on spreadsheets, not all math, it's reporting things on products and stuff. He has to do that. But man, you can go kill a day doing that instead of calling up new prospective customers, right? And he hates to do that, and he won't do it. And guess what it is that he needs? The obstacle is the way.
Yeah.
Guess what the obstacle is? It's, I got to call these people and get inroads. Or if I cannot do that, then I need to delegate it
Yeah.
to
Need to hire
someone
a
who can.
salesperson. Well, and I think
Yeah.
another good test of this is how much would you pay to solve this problem? Right. So,
Yeah.
and really not because it's a pain, but because it also would move the needle, meaning it would grow your business, it would increase revenue, it would decrease expenses, whatever it is. How much would you pay? And if you're not saying that it's going to decrease your expenses significantly or increase your revenue significantly, then, or create opportunities to do those things, then you shouldn't be paying that much to do that. And therefore it's not really worth creating a role for this to be able to delegate it. You probably just need to be like putting
Basically
that off to the side.
quit doing it.
Exactly.
Right.
So then once you do have your, let's use your example of, hey, I need someone to really manage our fleet. I'm tired of these problems. I'm tired of the issues. I'm tired of people complaining about the trucks and not doing things properly. I need to delegate this because it's eating up my time. It matters. Our fleet does matter. It's an investment that we have. They're assets for us, and they allow us to go to the job site every single day. But the next thing is to select the right person. And hopefully you have someone already on your team that can do this, because then it makes it much more simple than having to go and find someone. But what do you look for? And this is where the values really come into play. Like, yes, there are probably some things about fleet management that are a little bit tricky, but I don't know that you have to have years and years and years of experience with fleet management to do an okay or good enough job at managing the fleet. You just need to be someone of character that wants to do well. And that's where it's like, can you find the right fit people that have really great values that fit our culture and care about our company and our team to manage the fleet? Right. I think that's one of the biggest things is it has nothing to do with necessarily skills. It's really just about, is this the right person who wants to grow, wants to have something that they're responsible for and take care of? That's what I think. But any thoughts on selecting the right person?
Well, no, that the old adage that you hire for skill and fire for attitude is kind of what you're talking about. A lot of times you hire people because they can drive a truck, but you fire them because they don't show up, they're troublemakers, all this. So you're using your values to look for the attitude that is going to have an interest and be willing to grow and willing to learn, willing to do a little extra. And that's what you're looking for. Generally, you can train the skills. Now, if you're talking about an electrical engineer who's on your staff, maybe they need to have a degree.
Right.
But you would love to get skills and attitude.
Right.
And you may have that on your staff. But I put the emphasis on attitude because the skills can be taught. And most of my clients will say that same thing. Hey, I can teach them how to do this, this, and this. And we literally have have a guy who is looking for a position in his company, basically a project manager position in his company. By the way, it's getting easier to hire employees because our presumption, this is in another state, but our presumption was, oh man, because he's got a guy basically who had some immigration issues, was a project manager, and he's gone now. So we're looking for the right kind of guys. He put out an Indeed ad with a request for videos, and he's just sending me the top videos, and I'm going, hire all of them. They're great.
No, I was on a meeting yesterday.
This is going on right now.
I was on a meeting yesterday with someone who's hiring a journeyman electrician, and 3 months ago, roughly, they were hiring a journeyman electrician, and they would get some applications, but in terms of like qualified candidates, 3 a week maybe, and then that's not even talking about. That's just that they have their license, right? We're not talking about like fit and location and all that kind of stuff. And just like 3 a week. Now they're getting like 9 a week that are qualified and that are in the right location. And that's huge. I mean, it's just like, just in 3 months. So I don't know what's changing necessarily. Election year. I mean, I don't know, but something's changing for sure.
And it happened really, really quickly. But anyway, what we're doing on those videos is he had a series of questions that were about that would reveal your attitude, and a series of questions that would reveal your skill level. And we have some people that are really apparently high in both. And we've got one guy that we like him so much for his attitude.
Yeah.
He has no experience, but we're also going, ooh, I want to work with that guy.
Well,
right?
and the reality is with something like this where, because we're talking about small business owners, small construction companies. With our fleet management example, if you've got 60 trucks, it's a little late to be delegating this. Like you're not really, you should have probably figured this out when you had 3
Yeah,
trucks,
but if you
right?
if you haven't done it, you better get started.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But like we're talking about, hey, we need some fleet management, but our fleet is 3 trucks, 5 trucks, something like that. It's not really going to require a full-time role, but it's getting to be a problem, right? It's getting to be something where we really do need to be managing and stewarding this resource better. So with that,
You mentioned the issues, of not having it. There are the actual issues of burning an engine up or,
yeah,
having
no,
bald
there's
tires.
serious
The
things.
biggest the biggest issue that I've had over my career when I had not huge fleets, but fleets was angst. There's not just oil changes and used to be spark plug and good tires. There's a lot more to it than just,
Absolutely.
okay,
And
now I
and
got
so
the oil change.
what you really need is you need someone who's not just like one of their values when you delegate this responsibility to them is that they need to be a self learner, like self-taught learner. Like they can go and think through, man, what do I need to learn about fleet management? They're going to go and watch some YouTube videos on it. They're going to go and look into software that helps you use those things. They're going to look into programs that exist out there for fleet management. And what are all the areas? They're going to jump on a chat GPT and, create a chat they can talk with and learn about fleet management. All those different things, right? So there needs to be some of that self-starter in them as a value to really take over the responsibility in an adequate way. So that's really what you're looking for in selecting the right person. And then you can really define the expectations. And this is where I want to kind of, compare the two of the task-based delegation versus the responsibility-based delegation. And the responsibility-based delegation, you outline what the problem is. Hey, we've got 5 trucks now, and it's becoming cumbersome. There's a lot of things that are popping up with these trucks, and it's really not like a daily thing. They happen sporadically, monthly, yearly, and it's hard to manage. And I need someone who's going to come in and set up SOPs for managing our fleet and a program for managing our fleet to where we have all of our cars on the road and we'd never have downtime for more than a day. So that's my big goal, right? Setting those, like I want all our cars to be able to be on the road. And if we do have downtime, it's never for more than one day. And you set that up and you say, I'm going to give you the authority to make decisions and I'll provide you with the resources to do it. I'll give you a budget. And if there's something wrong with the car, you get to treat it like your own car to make
The
sure that it's on the
authority.
road,
Right.
right? So you give them that authority and you have those boundaries. Like it's a budget. You can never spend more than this on a truck unless you consult me, right? But with the task-based delegation, going back to what you said, there's a lot going on. You're saying, hey, I need you to go get a new permit for the car or a new tag for the car. Hey, I need you to go and talk to our insurance agent to make sure that this truck is covered or add this new vehicle to the policy. Hey, I need you to add our employee to the policy for this vehicle. Hey, and
Yeah,
there's,
just
hey, I need you to go
all
and take
that
this
stuff.
to Hibden to get a oil change or whatever it is. You're just doing it one by one by one. And effectively, you're still the fleet manager, right? And sure, this person works in the fleet, but you're having to tell them every little thing that needs to happen. So those are kind of the differences of rather than having to set the expectations for every single task on a case by case basis and worry if it's getting done and you're the authority and all that kind of stuff. You really delegate it completely.
Initiate the task and follow up to see if it were done. Yeah,
Yeah.
none of that's off your plate.
No.
That's why people just often say it's easier for me to just do it because I'm
Yeah.
going to assign it to somebody. Then I've got to put it on my calendar and follow up, see if they did it. Did they do it right?
Well, but
Vice
at the
versa.
same time, with the responsibility based delegation, you still do need to check in. You still need to say, hey,
Yeah, but you're
how,
checking a process.
but you're saying, hey, how is it going? Do you need help? Hey, how are the SOPs coming along? Are you documenting your job? Great. Do you feel like have we hit our goals of we never have a truck off the road for more than a day this month? Excellent. What allowed you to do that? Great. Do you need anybody else to help you with this? Do you need a new connection? Is there any software that we can implement for you? And then, you know, guide them through the process of solving problems too. Like let them kind of coach them, ask questions. Oh, wow. So what do you think we should do? Where would you look? Where are you going to research this? Okay, great. Like just guiding them through the process of solving problems and then giving them your feedback and, reward them for their, recognize them in front of your team. Hey, our fleet's doing incredibly better. And it's because we've delegated all of our fleet to John, and he's been an all-star with it. You should notice that your cars are performing better on the road, that whenever you have issues, they're getting solved faster. And that's all thanks to John. So recognizing that employee, giving them a bonus or whatever it is, those are all ways that you can do the responsibility-based delegation. And trying to think with, what are the challenges that people are going to run into whenever they're actually trying to do this responsibility-based delegation? Where can it go south?
Well, that you choose the wrong person is the biggest thing. And
Yeah.
that's not the biggest thing. That's the second biggest thing. The biggest thing is that you try to skate into it and just say, figure something out. Be clear what you expect, when you expect it by. Give people the resources and the authority to do it. Don't kill them if they come to you and what they've come up with is not what you thought. Give them that general nudge and guidance. Let them figure it out. Otherwise, they're not going to grow and you're not going to delegate. The other thing, talking to somebody about what do you do when your boss comes and gives you a new initiative? And this person said, nothing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you read
Yeah.
that?
Well, this
He
happens
said,
with my
well,
wife.
what do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do nothing. He said, what do you mean you do nothing? Well, because he never follows up. And on the rare occasion when he does, I say, oh man, slipped my mind, I'll get on it. And by asking a second time, I realized that he meant it. But other than
Yeah.
that, he said, I got tired of wasting my time half starting something and nobody ever even followed up to see if I did it. So if you're going to delegate, and I typically am in favor of delegating, doing things one thing at a time, find your person, make it clear, brainstorm, whatever, when you kick off, but on a piece of paper, it says what the objectives are, what authority you have, what the time frame is, when they need to come in and check in with you on the progress that they've made. So that clarity is clarity is where it goes wrong. They
Yeah.
didn't hear what you said, or you
Yeah.
didn't say what they heard.
And in order to be clear, you really do have to think through it, and you have to be very intentional about how you hand it off. I mentioned, why I did the same thing happens with my wife. I'll daydream all day. Oh, we need to start this business, or we need to move across the country, or we need to invest in this, or whatever it is. And in the beginning of my marriage, my wife would freak out and be like, oh my gosh, like our life's changing. We're doing
Every
all these things.
day.
Now she's just like, oh yeah, that's great. And if she knows if I'm still
Oh.
talking about it for a week, then I'm serious. But if I'm not talking about it, 2 days later, it was just a dream or like a thought,
Yeah. Isn't
So,
that cute? Yeah.
Isn't that cute? So anyways, yeah, I think you could probably have like a really good, just one pager before you go and do this. Like just sit down and write out, this is the area. Here's what, not everything it encompasses, because you may not know everything that it encompasses with fleet management. You may not have known that, the windshield wipers need to be changed every 3 months. You don't need to get in that detail, but just overall, this is what fleet management means to our company. And what's that?
They need to wind up with a thing that deals with windshield wipers.
Yeah.
But you don't
No, I'm
have
saying
to
as the
start
owner,
there.
operator,
Yeah.
you don't start there. You say,
No.
hey, this is what fleet management means to me and why it's so important. Here's the problem that we currently have. Here's what I would like this person to be responsible for. Here is what I expect in terms of the end result and what success looks like. Here's what failure looks like. Here's the KPIs that I'm going to track with you. And here's the resources that we have for this role and how I'm going to support you with weekly follow-ups or monthly check-ins or whatever it is. And have that one pager, then go and start finding the right person and talking to them about that and making sure that they feel comfortable doing that. They're excited about it. They feel like it's something they can do. and then go from there. But without setting that really good foundation and framework, it's going to be really hard to measure, track, and make sure that things are going well with the delegation.
Right.
So, well, this has been fun. We will link to all of our previous episodes on delegation and the importance of it and what it allows you to do as an owner in the show notes. People can find that. Martin's got some great articles that we'll also put in the show notes on delegation. Anything else before we leave, Martin?
Let me just throw out two things I thought of while we were going along. And the first one is my client who got all the video responses from really qualified guys.
Right.
If you the questions that he put in the Indeed ad, it was an Indeed ad, just give us a shout. And anyway, he tailored it very well. So he found out a lot about their values, but he also found out about their skill levels. Second thing, because we were talking about fleets, and a lot of our listeners may already do this, but I have a number of clients who have begun to have a company come out and fill their trucks up at night. And it actually has cost them less than it would be at the gas pump if you're going to the service station. But the big gain was the guys show up and head out to the job every morning. They do not head out with 4 guys in a truck, go to the service station, waste a half an hour, 45 minutes with 4 guys, getting coffee, buying cigarettes, filling the truck up. And it's been amazing. I have one guy that's doing about 5%, it's actually a little more than that, more work every month with 2 fewer guys. So with 38 guys as opposed to 40 guys. And that maybe not all attributed to the fact that the trucks are all full in the morning, but it's sure part of it. And so anyway, you can do that if you have 3 trucks. And I was against it for a long time. I presumed it would be really expensive when we got into it, and it is not. It is not.
Very cool. Very cool. Well,
so anyway, those are 2 passing notes.
Yeah. And there's listeners that have been delegating for a long time. If you have examples of responsibility-based delegation that you've done in your company, we'd love to hear those examples. Shoot us an email. We've got both of our emails in the show notes. And thanks for listening to the Cashflow Contractor. Share this episode with anybody you think needs it, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Talk to you guys soon.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cashflow Contractor. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Visit thecashflowcontractor.com. See you next episode.